Nigga kill over a bitch, but let a rat keep his wife.
Hey y'all, we back with the hottest topic in the country right now. Karmelo Anthony versus the Metcalfs. We all know Karmelo Anthony just got some time handed down to him for the incident with the Metcalf brothers, and we not happy about it. We got Dawgface and we got Todd Perkins. Todd Perkins is a lawyer from Detroit. He is a very prominent, good lawyer. He got a lot of wins under his belt. Anybody he represented, they pretty much 9 times out of 10 got something good to say about him. Dawgface got him, asked him the question, and want to see what he think about this Karmelo Anthony situation. And he asked him the $1 million question. Why Karmelo? Why you think they didn't have him testify? Or why he ain't testify? Let's get into this.
What is not up for question is how the whole thing transpired. He was standing under a tent that belonged to the opposite school, and he was approached by 2 white children, 2 white kids, 2 white boys, right, who were bigger than him in size and stature, right, older than him, and they told him to told him to get out or get away from or get from up under the tent. That whole thing led to one of the person, his name was Austin, if I'm not mistaken, being stabbed. What, if anything, what kind of insight can you give us as you sit back and had the opportunity to examine what happened there? Where do you think, not necessarily him, because we're not in his mind, but when it comes from a legal standpoint, one of the things that I was most shocked by is that he didn't take the stand in his own defense. And in a situation like that, I would have thought that you give him an opportunity, since he's fighting for his life, to fight for his life. What is your observation?
Dawgface just asked Todd Perkins the $1 million question. Why not let him fight for his life? Why not let him testify? What's going on? But that's the question for Mike Howard. That's who that question really should be for. That's who need to be letting us know, nigga, why he ain't testify? Why you ain't put him on the stand? Nah, Mike Howard, that was Karmelo lawyer. All right. Nah, he argued that all this was in self-defense. If it's in self-defense, let him tell his part of self-defense or why he was defending himself, man. Now, Mike Howard, he was a lawyer that was brought to the forefront by Dominique Alexander. Now, Dominique Alexander is a community activist. He ain't no lawyer. He ain't none of that. What he is a scam artist, allegedly. He bought his paper. He ain't really about justice. He bought his paper. So, which means if you just go get a lawyer, what you go get this lawyer for, this particular lawyer? It might be his lawyer. Or they in cahoots or something, because I've been hearing about some GoFundMe money that the family couldn't get at all. They had to get a lawyer. The lawyer could get the money because the lawyer got to get paid. So if the lawyer get the money, what'd he do for the person that came and brought him to him? I need you to represent them. Dominique, that's who ain't got him. Dominique, the nigga with the girl name, he went and got him. You can't trust a nigga with no female name. I ain't lying to you. He went and got him. And he must have gave him a percentage too, allegedly. But that's a question, Dawgface, that he just asked. That's a question for Mike. But I see you ask Todd Perkins. Todd, let us know what you think.
Let's go with it.
Let's
So
go.
what I've been able to, I've watched it a little bit, and I've over the, past couple of days, because we knew the verdict was going to be coming. The trial started, and we knew we were going to have a verdict soon. And it came out today. And, what I didn't hear was typically the racial overtones between the kids. I didn't hear that and maybe I need to look at the court records and listen to the testimony more, which could be an element of provocation, right? But what I understood was the two young men, they like pushed the kid, and
Yes.
they were, not beat him, mercilessly. But let's take the perspective of where we're at.
Boom. Todd, I'm glad you spoke on the racial overtone. Because when it came to the two boys, it wasn't no racial overtone. Word is, the white boys came with a nigga or two. You see what I'm saying? So it really wasn't a racial overtone. But this situation, regardless of that, it was going to turn racial anyway because of where it happened. No matter if we wanted it to be bullying or whatever else, it was going to turn racial because of the political ties. The daddy is cool with the DA. The DA cool with the judge. They all be going to lunch. They all be chilling together, watching the game. Whatever game. It don't matter. They cool. So the outcome to this, I don't see it being no different, especially when you got ties, you a judge, DA. Who do you pick to be the juror? Who all gets summoned to come do this? The people in the community that got real jobs, like teachers, the people in the church, coaches, whoever, doctors. They know all these people, or some about them, or got ties to them to pull some strings. So that right there, it was gonna turn racial anyway because of the ties. But let's continue.
We're at a sporting event. This is a competitive nature thing. And, you could look at it from the most innocuous or innocent perspective of those kids, the two white kids versus this black kid. And they're like, get off our turf, in a more of a competitive way. I could look at it that way. Now,
You're right again. Competitive sport, competitive boys. You get what I'm saying? So him being under the tent, yeah. It's like, get from under here. If you ain't with us, you against us. Now, let me give y'all some fun facts real quick about Karmelo. You feel me? He an honor roll student, right? He weigh about 150. He done saved a life before. Yeah, he compete. He be on the team, but this a good boy. You get what I'm saying? Then we got the Metcalves on the football team, about 6 feet, 200 to 225, something like that. You know what I'm saying? And been proven to be bullies. So they competitive nature, along with the bullying, yeah, that ain't really a good mix. But the competitive nature, I see exactly what he's talking about. And them being so competitive, I heard they be doing, I heard, that's what I heard. So being real competitive, knowing that you got a game or you want to get hyped up for something, that could have been. What if he was hyped up, geeked up? They just ain't said nothing. This competitive thing is for real. You right. Don't mean he wasn't supposed to defend himself. Now, I'm not with doing somebody in, but you don't control what I'm finna do after you do something to me. Let's just say you should have never done nothing to me. Let's continue.
so this kid pushes him, and then I think he went to push him again, and the kid stabs him, and I think in the chest.
Yes.
And so
One time.
Right,
Yeah.
one time. And so so the theory in this case is one of self-defense, right?
Mhm.
So if you're going to do self-defense, how are you going to explain that if the kid does not testify? There's a couple of different things that come from testifying. One, he can tell because one of the jury instructions, and I've done self-defense not only in this state but in other states and trials. The thing is that it has to be reasonable of what that person was experiencing in that moment. So who best to express what was going on in that moment other than that kid himself? So I just cannot understand.
I'm with him on that. I can't understand that. So you don't have him take the stand and tell his side to testify about like what he felt. If you look at them boys' size compared to his size, that push alone, he could have got up there and pretty much explained that he was terrified because of the strength that he felt. They play football. Yeah, he played football, but this is a whole different weight class. You get what I'm saying? So that alone, feeling somebody's strength could put extra fear in you like, oh no. He could have got up there and explained that. You get what I'm saying? Maybe that would have helped. But it was a lot of things that wasn't even let into the defense to explain like what type of dudes he was dealing with. Like, word is they do drugs. They been bullies. They just came back from suspension from bullying somebody or doing something to somebody. So that right there, they ain't let that type of info in. Why? Because they just trying to save face. Or don't speak about it at all so they can get the result that they had. You get what I'm saying? And another thing, he should have been able to get up there and explain that I felt how I felt. I was surrounded. It was more people standing in front of me. I really didn't understand what was going on. I didn't got pushed. I was just defending myself because I'm not knowing what everybody gonna do. They came with him. And when people scared of certain people, they gonna do what they say or they gonna move off impulse just because maybe they talked about it before. I don't know. But he should have been able to get up there and testify and say, it was so many people, I was afraid for my life. I ain't never even threw a punch before. I can't fight. I'm terrified. I was terrified. Look how big they is compared to me. So they dropped the ball with that one. I agree wholeheartedly. Let's continue.
How you're going to promote or push a self-defense theory and not place the person who's declaring self-defense on the stand. That's number one. But number two, he's a kid. He's a nice looking kid. He's a kid. I don't know how he speaks, and I haven't heard him in any particular public space speaking. He's a kid that has the ability of being a kid, and you pick the right jury, that jury could have some empathy for him. You know, they could have some understanding of why he may have done a stupid, foolish mistake that could cause them to go, you know, because he got found guilty of the highest. He was guilty essentially as charged,
yes,
not as a lesser included manslaughter or something like that. But
yes,
that's what happens in a lot of these cases, in these first degree cases, that when you have the ability to have, you know, my partner had a case a couple of weeks ago. He had the guy testify, and it was a murder one case, and he was convicted of murder two. There's no question the guy shot him 7 or 8 times. But having testified, having given his perspective, the prosecutor was unable to convict him as charged.
And that was the ball game, folks. What they did was they gave him and convicted him of first degree murder when they could have gave him the lesser charge, which was manslaughter. Because that's exactly, if you was gonna give him anything, that's exactly what it should have been. But him being a nigga, of course they wanted to give him as much as they could, feeling like, okay, he gone, he not coming back. But when you think about it, he the one that started it. And just from that alone, like, manslaughter, I'm not even saying that would have been fair, but it would have made more sense. Y'all hype this video up, hit the like button. I'm just trying to beat the odds and you can help me. I'll be back with another one.